So I'm Hasse Storebakken, CEO of Aqua Alarm. I have a long history in working with implementing sustainability models in safety regimes. Done that for 2 decades. Now focusing on water, and Aqua Alarm's mission is to safeguard the drinking water, the microbial elements of it, on its journey to the tap or to an industrial recipient. So we could take the water from Dennis being brought to a fish farm and making sure it's safe. But in this main case right now, it's about cities and towns and bringing water from their water treatment plants to the normal consumers. And this is covering worldwide problems that are worsened a lot right now with the climate changes, because when you make food, water is food. When you make food in large scale, you would like things to be as stable as possible so that you can fine-tune and ensure quality is good. And that's not what's happening with the climate changes. We're having storms, rainfalls, we're having temperatures variations, and all these will create lots of changes and challenges. And microbial changes are dangerous. They can kill. Also, clearly we have wildfires and droughts, meaning that the return systems, but also the systems basically to bring water towards the water treatment plants, are stressed. And that changes the situation with what is brought to the piping system. And all this is happening throughout the world without any modern systematic of getting to know what is in those pipes. You know, it's a black box, and we're opening that black box. What we see as a problem is that the operational costs are increasing strongly. People are getting, gut diseases they don't know came from the water. Some people distrust the water and use a lot of plastic carried water. And there's also a cyber and a security element of this. We solve this, and what we bring is actually early warnings. We alert before it's a problem. We alert before there is a lot of bacteria in the water. We alert while it's still cheap to do something. Basically flush through more water here and it will be good. So early warnings and advice on what to do. We do this in our secret soup, which is supported by our self-made sensor using lots of customer data. And these things create a model and a prediction of how the water should be in the next second. And if there's something new, we'll tap a sample and bring it to the lab, and then put that data into our model again so that the model knows for the future about that kind of fingerprint as well. So that's the basics of how we build these infos that are basically critical and useful information for those that sit in a city or a town and try to operate what's inside all these pipes. And I could also chunk up this problem. We're now talking about water utility people working for the water utilities or say monitoring and steering the distribution network. But if we chunk it up, it could also be about the future of water, having circular water. You wouldn't only have one water quality, drinking water. You'd have water coming from the loo being reused for watering the fields. We'll probably have 30 variants in the future, and any water that's brought through a pipe and needs to have a specific quality is our future.
30 seconds, just as a warning.
Yep. So we do have customers that look forward like this. We do have a lot of traction with these customers. We're bringing these first products to the market next year. And we are in a smart water market process, which is doubling. So we have the wave. Software as a solution, business to business. We have a very competent CTO, which has his PhD in this and has worked with large water companies and also makes sure that we understand the problems. We have hardware and software. Yes,
your time is up. I'm sorry. How much are you guys raising?
1 mil.
1 million. Thanks thank you for sharing everything. Let's hand things over now to our incredible investor panel. We'll bring Ryan and Orelle back in here, and I will let Orelle go first. Orelle, questions for Hasse and Aqua Alarm?
Yes. So in terms of the sensors, where are you placing them exactly, and what types, like how are they produced? Are they off the shelf? Is there something unique there in terms of, are you producing them?
We produce them, and it depends on the problem, because we deliver services that solve problems. In the water sector, you could say there are about 10 very common problems, and one of them being, for example, service reservoirs. When you hold water for a time, it creates a problem with old water, with where bacteria may grow. Very common problem, huge problem, very cheap for us to handle. We can avoid those problems very cheaply. And that's what we're starting with next year. Whereas event response, how to build advice takes a lot more of data assembly and treatment. More sensors, more costly, but also more valuable, because if you have a problem, the customers really want to know, where did it come from? What can we do? So say you have about 10 of these services. We're starting with the simplest ones, building more and more.
Okay, and in terms of the go-to-market, I mean, you're dealing with probably the most difficult B2G structure here. How do you manage to overcome that? I mean, for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw London on your paid pilots or customers, so I'd love to understand how that has been working.
So we will sell through channel partners, being those companies that already deliver pumps, pipes, and some software. They will want our kind of software as a part of their portfolio. They will be our channel partners in the future. And we have relationships with 3 or 4 of these, working now with 2 of them to prep and improve our channel partner setups. I worked with these things before in other industries. I know about the challenges. It takes some time, but this is how we will have world reach.
Do you mind expanding on that a bit, the channel partner structure?
Yeah. So we have a water partner, say, coming from Mexico and working a bit in Israel, having industry selling for $2 billion presently. They do start now working with a digital portfolio. They don't have what we have. They can sell their product with ours because the 2 are a better combo. That's how it works. So we're talking with Sao Paulo, we're talking with Singapore right now, because we can do it through these. We will not be there present. We will basically support these channel partners in setting up the system, making sure it's working. Presently, right now, we are having all these contacts ourselves in our initial projects, where we build and ensure that our algorithms, our database support is correct. We're hands-on, but already from next year, channel partners will do the sales.
So that means that your system can integrate with any existing utility provider?
That's our challenge, yes. It's not easy.
Okay, doesn't sound easy. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a great presentation. I'm curious to know, you said there's no existing solution out there for this. How do municipalities, governments currently get data? How are they testing? Is it all manual? I mean, there's got to be some way of doing it. What does that look like?
They take grab samples, they deliver it to a laboratory to get back the answers in 3 to 5 days when the water has been consumed. And when it's hopeless to really find out what happened. This is what is being done everywhere in the world. That's why we see all these health problems. And it is a very weak system. And it's absolutely not in line with modern ways of producing food.
Yeah, is it on the is it just on the way to the tap, or is there also in wastewater that you're able to detect? I know in New York City, as an example, they just detected polio in the wastewater streams. I assume that's similar sort of process as what you just mentioned.
But it's not our scope with the setup we have right now. We used some resources to get a very simple and cheap sensor in place that basically counts cells, so we can see a change. In the future, we may go in different directions here, but basically now it's about water in pipe and a focus on microbial situations. But that will expand, but we have to do this business first.
Got it. So right now it's not currently detecting, or maybe can you just talk a little bit about what it's currently detecting and how the tech actually works, or the sensor actually works when it's deployed?
Yeah, it's a fluorescence spectrometric sensor. It sounds complex, and it is. That's why it's a little bit difficult to do this. We're the first ones doing this in this kind of scale. So it basically recognizes tryptophan, which is a part of the metabolism of any cell, and we count cells passing by. The cells are beamed in with a sort of light. We can read off light if there's tryptophan there.
And typically then the way that it works, and you're smarter at this than I am, but if there are a change in what it's reading, then that alerts the utility provider that, hey, there's something wrong here. Let's go then test it out manually to see.
No. Well, that's what our competitors do, and that creates a lot of mess and work for the operators. You know, I don't want that. I don't want to have to hire 10 more people because I get alarms all the time. So we have a look at all the data from the customer. How are the water flows? How's the water pressure? Has anything happened? Is there a reason why we see this change? If there's not, we take a sample there and then and teach our model. Our model will tell about the normal pattern throughout the full year. So if anything happens that is not within normal, there'll be a sample. We will investigate, and the model will be updated.
Got it. Okay. And then my last question is just around the business model. How much is it per sensor that you're selling to utilities, municipalities, or overall contract?
Per service. So typically that the water reservoir case is a fairly simple thing. We need little hardware, and the data model is fairly simple. Whereas most customers will also want to know, where did it come from? What should I do? And they will have many problems in each city sector. So typically, as 1 mil city will have maybe 30, 40, 50 services that they're buying. And each of these will be priced between $10 and $30K a year.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
So you're looking at a couple of 100,000 to a couple of million per city then?
Yes, I need to calculate every time because I'm in NOK, and that's so I shift the comma. But yes.
And what do the timelines look like for those? I know you said you're going to be working primarily with partners, but what do the timelines look like for those type of sales cycles and then implementation?
Well, we have huge interest. There's a huge demand now because the routines are so antiquated. And if you want to bring out all the gray-haired ones and bring in new people, new staff, you have to have something else. So there's a big drive for a change. So we have lots and lots of interest, well, in the forward-leaning part of the industry. And by selling through channel partners, those that they're used to handling with, they came with pumps and pipes before, now they come with something else. It's also easier. We shouldn't do that. You know, a salesman they're used to and that I trust will do that sale.
Is your model ultimately then the salesman model, or have you thought about licensing the technology and letting someone else?
No, we'll be that center that really supports all these channel partners, because there's a lot of complexity in this, and we have to make that simple. So that's our basic. We'll have a very strong competence team that makes sure there are patterns, flows, softwares that simplify this. For example, also a meta world where you can go in and get to test all things to make these big decisions. So there's a lot of data support that will come into this.
So it's odd that companies haven't, or that cities haven't, municipalities haven't moved yet. How much of a kind of punishment is there for them when they get this wrong? How much does this actually cost cities?
Good question. And the answer why we're working first now in the UK is that UK is one of those countries which are really tough on this. And we're right now also seeing an interesting move in South America, where many countries toughen up. So they give huge penalties when you find bad results on the lab data. So that's where we start. That's where we can build our first algorithms and databases and connect them up, make sure the models are good.